Hey guys, it's Kingdom Orange 2 here, and welcome back to my channel. So continuing on with my Versus series that's not really a series, I thought for today it would be fun to compare the two biggest rivals in fashion doll history, Bratz and My Scene. So what I will do is not only compare the dolls themselves, but also their history, their characters, and their media. And as always, feel free to check me out on both TikTok and Instagram. It's the same username for all three, and I love connecting with everybody and just chatting all things dolls. Now, without further ado, let's get right into it. History. I'll go in depth more in a future video, but Bratz was initially created in 2001 by Carter Bryant for MGA Entertainment. Now, at first, the dolls didn't really do too well, but the following Christmas season, Bratz became an amazing success, and their success continued to grow with the launch of various movies, dolls, and spin-off lines until about 2009. This was when they lost a series of lengthy court cases, and the rights to create Bratz was actually handed over to Mattel. Luckily enough, though, before Mattel could release their own versions of Bratz dolls, MGA got their rights back and relaunched the Bratz in 2010. And marketing the Bratz return as their 10th anniversary, even though technically they've only been out for 9 years at this point, the 2010 Bratz featured new faces and body sculpts for the dolls, as well as new artwork and a new slogan and logo. Bratz also introduced 10 new characters, as well as their new dolls noticeably being dressed more conservatively to please parents and buyers. But during this time period, MGA faced heavy competition from Mattel with their release of Monster High, and the Bratz sales continued to dwindle. MGA did try to revamp Bratz by giving them taller and more posable bodies, as well as returning their old face sculpts, but unfortunately none of this ended up working out, and the doll line was discontinued in 2014. Now, a year later, MGA brought Bratz back for a third time again with a new slogan and logo, new face and body sculpts, and new artwork. But just like before, the dolls were really not well received, and the line was discontinued a second time. 3 years later in 2018, Bratz released a doll line exclusive to Amazon.com called Bratz Collector, which featured the 4 main Bratz and Cameron in outfits created by fashion designer Hayden Williams. And 3 years after that, Bratz returned for their 20th anniversary. MGA decided to release reproductions of the very first doll line of Bratz, as well as create new dolls that are styled in the way in which the Bratz appeared in the early 2000s. Now, to this day, early 2023, MGA continues to re-release reproductions of former doll lines such as the Girls Night Out and Rock Angels lines, as well as introduce new dolls that are collaborations between themselves and other fashion doll brands like GCDS or Cult Gaia. Characters. Both Bratz and My Scene are made up of a multi-ethnic group of friends. In Bratz, our 4 main girls live in a fictional city called Stylesville. There's Chloe, the blonde one, who's into sports and a bit of a drama queen. Jade, who's Asian and has a love for fashion design. Yasmin, who's Hispanic and loves yoga and animals. And finally, Sasha, who's African American and likes dancing and creating music. The Bratz are sometimes accompanied by their 2 male friends, Cameron, who's blonde and may or may not be in a relationship with Chloe, as well as Dylan, who's been romantically linked with Sasha, Yasmin, or Jade, depending on what form of media it is. Strangely enough, too, Dylan has been portrayed as both white and black in both the TV shows and movies, but in his dolls and doll artwork, he is African American. Now, one thing Bratz is known for is their abundance of additional side characters that appear throughout their many, many doll lines. These side characters may be included with the 4 Bratz in a doll line, or may replace one of them. There's literally about like 100, and most have really rare and strange names, which I assume may have been done for trademark purposes. Now, Bratz does have some side characters that appear often and may have been shown here and there in some sort of media, like Nevra, Fiona, Megan, and Felicia. I really have no idea why Bratz would go through all of the hassle to make new characters and pay to trademark new names, but your guess is honestly as good as mine is. My Scene is based around a group of best friends who live in New York City. Besides Barbie, each girl is named after something in NYC. There's Chelsea, the redhead and fashion designer of the group, Noli, who's Asian and into yoga and fortune telling, Madison, who's African American and enjoys shopping and music, and Barbie, who's into planning parties, I guess. There's also Delancey, who's Chelsea's cousin and serves as the 5th member of the group, and while appearing in cartoons and movies with the girls, was not often included in the doll lines. My Scene, additionally, isn't complete without its guys. There's River, Bryant, Ellis, Sutton, and Hudson. Some of them serve as the girls' official boyfriends, while the others may occasionally have just a fling. Now, unlike Bratz, My Scene didn't have as many characters. They did introduce some girls such as Kenzie, Noli's friend from Georgia, as well as Jay, who appeared in Shaman in Jamaica. Mattel also secured the rights to create a doll for Lindsay Lohan, who played a minor role in the movie My Scene Goes Hollywood. However, there were some major changes in the friend group that happened to My Scene in its later years. In 2007, with the release of My Scene Fab Faces, Barbie was replaced by her copycat lookalike known as Kennedy. Not only did Kennedy steal her friends, but also her boyfriend River, as well as her pet dog Yorkie. And a year later, when the line was given a soft reboot, Noli was phased out and replaced with Delancey, whose hair was changed from blonde to black with blonde highlights. There was also the introduction of a new girl named Nia, who's Latin American and recently moved to New York City. Now, as far as the characters go, I think Bratz did a better job with giving each of their dolls individual and unique personalities, even though I feel like they did have way too many characters in general. However, I don't really know if it's fair to My Scene because Bratz just happens to have a lot more media surrounding it, meaning they can take more time in fleshing out each of the characters' unique personalities. But I can definitely tell that even just from watching some of the movies and webisodes, you get more of a sense of who the Bratz are individually than with My Scene. Media. My Scene was really well known for their webisodes. These webisodes were often 1 to 2 minutes long, animated with Flash, and would appear on the My Scene website. The webisodes would usually just center around little short stories like the girls wanting to go to the beach on a rainy day, or deciding what to wear to go out on a date. My Scene also did come out with 3 movies. 2 of them were more like specials and would come in DVDs with the dolls. Their one and only feature-length movie was known as My Scene Goes Hollywood, which had a special appearance by teen superstar Lindsay Lohan. Now, when My Scene went through its soft reboot, the animation for the webisodes was also changed to match the new doll artwork. On the other hand, the media surrounding the Bratz doll line was a lot bigger. It first started with the release of their hand-drawn animated movie, Bratz Starrin' and Stylin'. However, this style of animation was later abandoned in favor of computer animation in their second movie, Bratz Rock Angels, and continued on for their 12 other movies as well as their TV show on 4Kids until 2009. Bratz did additionally come out with a live-action movie in 2007, even though it was heavily panned by critics. Now, with their first reboot, the Bratz attempted to launch a new series of webisodes on their YouTube channel called Bratz Rock. However, after the first episode was criticized heavily by fans, MGA decided to just scrap the show. They did return to YouTube in 2015 for their third reboot, with a season of 10 stop-motion webisodes created by the same company who works on Robot Chicken, who ironically did a parody of Bratz just a year prior to its release. Nowadays, Bratz is heavily focused on their TikTok account, where they release videos that are animated in a style similar to their late 2000s computer animation. There was a show called Talking Bratz, hosted by Felicia, and the Bratz also often uses its computer animation models to mimic scenes from temporary TV shows and movies like Jennifer's Body and Euphoria. Now, in terms of media, I have to give it again to Bratz. I know Bratz has had more media overall. Compared to the movies that were released by My Scene, the Bratz movies were just much better. And the teen magazine story arc that was present throughout the Bratz movies and TV series was a really fascinating and cool idea for a doll line. Okay, so for our last category, we are going to compare the dolls. Bratz dolls stand around 9 inches tall, have over-exaggerated lips and heads, and are known for having pegs instead of feet with the ability to change their shoes by popping them off and on. Throughout the various reboots and releases of the Bratz, many things have changed about them, but the almond eye heart-shaped face is the most popular and well-known look for the Bratz dolls. I do also want to point out that Bratz has had a lot of different sub-brands inside of it, such as Bratz Kids, Bratz Babies, Itsy Bitsy Bratz, Bratz Big Babies, Bratz Ponies, and Lil Bratz. At the same time, My Scene dolls stand about the same height as Barbie. They too have a cartoonish face with heart-shaped lips, and really the only major change in the doll's appearance was with the release of the My Scene Bling Bling line, in which the girls adopted a more sultry face paint that continued on until the end of the doll line's release. Also, similar to Bratz dolls, My Scene wore over-exaggerated chunky shoes, but instead of using a peg to attach them, you could just slide the shoes over the Barbie-sized feet. Now, what really made people compare Bratz to My Scene was in their sense of style. They really weren't afraid to push the envelope, oftentimes sporting clothes that parents deemed way too risque, but both doll lines were also great at copying each other. Two instances really stick out to me. The first was when Bratz launched their line Forever Diamonds, in which each doll came with a piece of Bratz diamond jewelry, while My Scene launched My Bling Bling, where each doll came with a ring that had a real diamond in the center of it. There was also the time that Bratz came out with head games, so My Scene decided to release Swap in Styles, which had almost the exact same concept. Now, both My Scene and Bratz had their dud doll lines, but again, Bratz is the winner here. I think that My Scene dolls seem to look more expensive to me, but I don't know if that's because they're taller and more serious looking than Bratz are. Overall though, Bratz has more interesting and iconic doll lines, so I like them a bit better. Clearly coming at no surprise to anyone, I think Bratz is just the better franchise overall, with greater movies, dolls, and characters in general. However, I don't want to take any credibility away from My Scene, as I feel like if they just had more content out there in general, they could have fared better. But honestly, I think with the massive success of Monster High, Mattel really had no reason to continue on with this doll line, and as much as I would love to see My Scene return in some sort of capacity in the future, I don't really see this happening. If you liked this video today and want to see more content in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Thank you guys so much for watching today, and I will see you soon. Bye!